Live streaming is on.
Wow, the eco. Okay, folks. Welcome to the November office hours of the Flatcar maintainers. I'll hand off. Danielle, are you ready to take the meeting from here?
Yeah, I muted myself to reduce some echo there.
The echo is awesome.
Okay. So I'm joining from outer space for the November call. How about we start with a short round, like of introduction? So and then I'll go first because as usual, I'm the only lady here. So hi, I'm Danielle. I'm from the Flatcar team, doing some stuff related to community. So let's just Steven, you go next.
Fair enough. I'm Steve Harris from Coinbase. I'm an enthusiastic user, and I'm here today to follow up on yet again about this one patch fixing bug that plagues us related to, I guess, eBPF stuff and SK box and all that. So it's looking to hear about how the merge process goes.
So don't be shy, just whoever feels like go next.
Hey, I'm Tilo. I'm a manager at Microsoft working with the Flatcar team and lately with the UAPI group. And yeah, handing off to Sion.
Hello, so hi, I'm San. I'm from India and working with the Flatcar team as within Microsoft. I primarily look around with the package updates and the releases of Flatcar. Handing over to Matthew.
Hello, Mathieu from the Flatcar team. I mainly work on SE Linux related topics for now. Kai?
I'm Kai from Berlin, also in the Flatcar team at Microsoft. And William.
Yep, I'm William from Rotterdam, the Netherlands, also on the Flatcar team at Microsoft. I think that's everybody, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I actually wanted to make the introduction for someone who just left the call now. So, but here we go. We introduced ourselves once again. Cool. So, first topic on the agenda: upcoming release status and packages. Now, let's keep it for the end, I guess. I don't know why is it first. But oh wait, I know what I'm reading the wrong agenda. That's why I'm saying something a bit funny.
I was about to ask because I thought I was reading.
No, I prepared the link, but I clicked on the wrong one, so I was like very confused because it didn't look familiar at all. Anyway, so yeah, okay, that looks like the right one. So let's talk about the OpenSSL CVE, and I think we could take it like on a broader to the broader aspect of what happens when we have an embargoed CVE.
Yeah, those are fun times always, right? So in this particular instance, OpenSSL announced that they will publish a critical severity issue. I think they gave a little more than 1 week ahead notice that this was coming, and I don't know. It's rare, right, for OpenSSL to have critical issues. The last one was termed Heartbleed, and everybody was very excited about that. So there was like some expectation towards the new event, and it's pretty amazing to team up with upstream OpenSSL folks, because they were very forthcoming to distro folks who wanted to prepare themselves and want to make sure their users remain safe. Within, of course, secure limits, we got access to an early version of the CVE, to an early version of the patch. We were able to basically test the waters with that patch and run our test suite and make sure everything's ready. We, of course, reported back that just backporting the patch that they had to earlier versions worked pretty well for us. And in that case, our thorough test suite helped a lot. But what usually happens is we're trying to reach out to the upstream, or we pick up a conversation at once on one of the embargo mailing lists and work with them in order to prepare everything for that release, and then have everything staged and basically just press the go public button on the already prepared updates, and then folks can basically upgrade their fleet safely. And the other thing, and that's also something, so we got interesting feedback. If you have a blog post on that out, actually, Mathieu, who just switched off his camera, he wrote it. Is that so everybody was asking us, isn't like recommended to upgrade to 307? Isn't that like the safe version? And the thing is, so OpenSSL has kind of a habit of changing things and updating things and adding new features, even for patch level upgrades. And that sometimes, causes, in edge cases, random breakage. So the thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to have this one fix only on top of what we knew already worked with Flatcar, was shipped with stable, to just, operators are in kind of a rush when those updates come out. So they usually make an effort to swiftly upgrade. And we didn't want to cause any more excitement than that was already out there. So only like the most minimal changes on top. And that was that. But yeah, in general, if that kicks off, it can be an all hands on deck situation. We kick off test builds, we kick off security release builds, and then we kind of strive to make it all happen before the embargo lifts. So we had an exciting week before the embargo lifted.
So, I mean, I know that you just explained it, but like the dummy version for me was like, if I patch now the hot patch, which version of OpenSSL would I see actually?
Yeah, so the thing is, just because we backported the patch and applied it on top of an earlier version of OpenSSL ourselves, there is no, we needed to come up with like a Flatcar specific version, right? And for both 302 and 303, we're using the -R1 suffix for the version. So if you're running OpenSSL -302-R1, you're safe.
And that's something that I would see every time there's like embargoed CV coming?
Depends. I mean, sometimes upstream is careful enough to only include the patch in their newest version. So sometimes we align with upstream, sometimes we don't. We would always, if upstream is set up to actually allow access to distros, we would always work with upstream to make sure that their patch applies, and we test their changes and give them feedback, and also to have everything set up in time. But yeah, in general, that's how we work.
Yeah, it also depends on whether the upstream, people do a release, also in this embargoed way, or if they do it in the regular way. Of course, normally they do it in the regular way. That means you can't really update to this release before it's officially out. And what we want, like the reason why we have these embargoes is that we want to build the release earlier, the Flatcar release. And so that means we have to use what's privately available, that are these embargoed security patches, and not the full release. And thus we see the old version in the CLI output.
Yeah, it could be a little confusing, right? We've seen a couple of issues coming in, like freaking out about it. So just like wanted to mention that, because like expectation versus what you get might not be exactly there. So it's good to be very explicit about it. So yeah, cool.
There's an interesting, at least there was before we had Salsa provenance shipped. There's this interesting challenge of trust that you have, because you need to prepare private builds, right? And so at the point in time when you release, the patch isn't actually in the public repos that we're using, but only after the embargo lifts, right? So we need a way to apply this patch in a private build, and then produce the release image, the binaries, And formerly, we basically required the trust of our users that the updated public source tree that we delivered afterwards is actually the thing that we also built. Now, with Salsa, this has changed because the private builds and the patch that we feed into that build are fingerprinted. And these fingerprints are recorded within the image. And so you can actually verify what went into the build. And then, when the source tree is updated and everything goes public, then you can verify those very fingerprints from the source material, and you can check, is this really what they've built back in the day when, that part of the tree was still private. So this is exciting. That's kind of an unexpected fallout from the Salsa work, but I think it's notable.
Okay, good. Anything else to add on this topic? Any questions? Right, so let's go to the next one. I think it's also you, Thilo, to talk about the next one.
Yeah, that's my kind of this is almost like a spare time hobby that I picked up. So I think almost a month ago, a little more than a month ago, there was a invite-only image-based Linux, modern TPM stuff in Linux conference in Berlin. It was a meetup, 2-day meetup with 30-ish engineers from a variety of distributions and projects. And we reported in last month's office hours on that, so I don't want to bore you by repeating all that. But so from that meeting emerged kind of a interest group that wants to align common mechanisms, common APIs, and common standards on how a bootloader boots a kernel and the RAM disk and the image formats in which everything ships and how you can get it all secure. So this group is called the UAPI group, and we submitted a dev room proposal to FOSDEM, and we were accepted. So we now have our call for papers open. And let me briefly share my screen, and you can have a look at it. Screen share a window, that window. All right. So it's uapigroup.org, and I mean from the top level page, you are guided to the FOSDEM dev room call for papers. So we have a rough idea on the topics, but since the group is still in its inception, please interpret those topics broadly. If you have anything related to touching those topics, anything that would factor in like the general scope that you could feel from the topics, we would also be interested in hearing from that. So you just submit to FOSDEM. We're going to take a look at all of the submissions, of course, and by December 15th, we will have the dev room schedule online. We have a CFP deadline for December 10th because we need some time to actually look through the proposals, but that's pretty much the timeline. What's interesting is just because we have kernel folks in the group as well, they just host their kernel dev room call for papers right next at the same site, just because it's comfortable, and I like this. There's like a little bit of synergy here, which I really like. All right. You appear to be muted.
I totally knew that. So I guess next topic is LTS. 2021 is approaching end of life. Yeah, so do your maintenance and due diligence and update if you need to. Anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, I think Cyan worked on that, right?
Yeah, so so LTS 2021 is now deprecated. I mean, there would be no new releases on the channel, and we have already released the final version of the LTS, and So keep receiving the updates. It is recommended to upgrade your nodes to the latest LTS, which is the LTS 2022. Yeah. Over to Lenny.
Okay, so in this week, we have a bug smashing day. We're gonna be streaming the whole day, basically. So you can join the fun. There's like in the agenda, there are links to YouTube stream, Jitsi, like kind of hands-on streaming that we have all day. If you wanna join the fun, or so you can also join on metrics. Yeah, and there's like bugs that are marked as first good bug, or if there's something that you're interested in that is not a first good bug, then you can also take it and join. And yeah, it would be great to see more people around. So this Thursday, we would be streaming all of days in European time. So if you're in the US, maybe in the morning. And I guess it's back to you, Sam.
Thank you. I'll share my screen quick. Okay, so yeah, so I'll go to the releases. So this week we are doing a set of releases. It would be for alpha and beta for this week, and then once the beta would stabilize to stable next week, so you'll be expecting a stable LTS release next week, and the releases looks good as of today. The CI is almost green. I did not check the last status, but alpha was still having one test which was building, but beta was all green. So hope to complete the releases by tomorrow, and this would essentially have a bunch of package upgrades around the OpenSSL upgrade would be shipped with the package upgrade, and there would be other package updates along with the same. And the next one, do you see any screen issues on my screen?
No, it's all right.
Okay, my screen is started flickering suddenly. Okay, so the next release would be on 21st of November, which is after 2 weeks, and we have been working on a couple of updates. Docs is working on the Rust upgrade, and Krejimi has been working on the OpenSSH upgrade. The OpenSSH upgrade is what happened? The OpenSSH upgrade is primarily for a security fix. Systemd 252 was released, so we were planning a 251, but then 250 the 251 252 RC candidate got released a couple of days back, so I stopped the work. The 254 systemd was released 8 days back, so we would directly jump to the 252 systemd. NVIDIA is almost ready, but Kai suggested a couple of changes in that, so been working on this and should be in by next week. Two issues that are again for security updates are expat and curl. So if anyone wants to pick this up, it's open for grabs. And few other planned ones are around security and general package upgrades. So if you know, like Krejimi has been working on this reports thing where where it has like a list of packages which needs upgrades. So we are slowly working on the package automation for the complete both portage and OS overlay. So we are slowly and steadily targeting the portage overlay packages. So these are the few sysap packages this could be upgraded. These are the ones we are targeting for the next release. So that's mostly it. I mean, from the package update side, moving on to the bug trackers, I wanted a few updates like on the issues. So Thilo, do you have any updates on this one? So I created a long-term board, so I'll just keep moving them to long-term or blog, or instead of keeping them in progress for a long time. So
Actually,
it's
there's
easier.
progress on that one. Kai worked on that. I neglected it for long enough, so Kai took over.
Okay, so we are working on this one. Okay. And I think Shimir isn't around right now, so I'll probably ping him after the call. And I need to restart the half-baked work that I did here. Yeah, I think other than that, things looks good. We have a couple of them in progress for the next release. Anything other than this we need to add?
That looks good.
Cool, thank you. I'll then stop sharing and hand over to Daniel.
Okay, so let's open up for questions again. Comments, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks for
sorry,
listening.
there was one question on the chat before.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, just looking if any packages contribution I could make, please let me know. Oh, okay, yeah. We got a bug smashing day on the 10th, and let's take it also on private. So like I'll send the link.
Yeah, I would suggest to join the Matrix channel, and from there we can like help you with the beginning steps, and then there are definitely a lot of packages that needs upgrade, so contributions are welcome.
Okay, let me post the link to the Matrix channel. So if you drop in here, then that should help. Also, as Cyan mentioned, a number of issues on the Flatcar repo. Let me just look it up for you. Are labeled with good first issue. Some of them are package upgrades. So that list is here. And so that works if you have like your favorite package and you want to upgrade that to a newer version, or if you want to add a package that's always been missing. And that kind of corresponds to Flatcar's philosophy of being minimal, lightweight, and secure, and basically only focused on running containers, then we like to see that as well. There's actually an intro on how to do that in the developer docs that we have, and that's kind of the last reference that I'm gonna post. And the idea is basically to look at the packages that Gentoo already supports and then borrow from there and add the package to Flatcar. Yeah, that's pretty much a good entry, I guess. And also, as Cyan and Danielle said, we have a bug smashing call on Thursday. That'll be an all-day Jitsi call. And if you run into any issues, you can just basically join the call, ask a question, and we'll help you along.
All right, so let's open up again for questions. I guess it's up to you, Steve, now. Oh,
Great.
yeah, please.
Thanks. I that was the first time I've just skimmed very quickly that page on building from source. I've gotten help from Kai, and getting some images built lately that include this network patch, and that's been really useful. In order to use it, we've had to then disable automatic updates so that we don't update past a version that has that patch. I was curious. Jeremy had noted earlier this morning, I think, that the patch I'm interested in is now part of the NetDev tree, and he said that once it makes it into Linus's tree, then we can get it into stable. And I was a little confused by what that meant. Is that Flatcar stable, or what is the movement like? What's the life cycle for these patches normally?
So in Flatcar, we use LTS kernels even in alpha. So basically, this is kind of to guarantee more or less stable kernel alongside across all of our releases, and all of the patches that go into any of the LTS kernel trees are usually backports from what's already in Linus's tree. At least this is the easiest way to get a patch in. If you find an issue that only affects an LTS tree, then you have a separate discussion. But usually, so patches go into a subsystem, and that already happened. That's the NetDev tree. And then before inside of a merge window, before a release, a subsystem maintainer would basically push all the patches that they think they should go into the next release up to Linus. Linus would accept it in his tree, and then after that is really after something is in Linus tree, it doesn't necessarily need to be released, but as soon as it's in, you can have a discussion with the LTS maintainer, which is usually a different engineer. Linus doesn't care about LTSs. Mostly it's Greg, I think. And then you point Greg to that patch and say, hey, it's in Linus's tree, so it's already accepted. It went through all of the scrutiny, basically, starting from the subsystem maintainers. And then that will make it relatively easy to accept that in the stable, in the LTS branch as well. So we can even have that discussion as soon as the subsystem maintainers have merged it into Linus's tree. We can actually ping Greg ourselves, and I think that's what Jeremy hinted at, and submit that patch to the 5.15 LTS tree, and that would basically make it available to stable within a few weeks after that happened.
So that'd be within a few weeks after Linus accepts it, right?
And it's
Sorry,
in the
sorry.
and it's in the LTS tree. That's correct.
Okay.
I mean, ideally, we wrap up a beta version with the respective LTS point release very soon, basically after it's in, and we release betas, I think, every 2 weeks. So there's a cadence for that, and then the whole patch would basically be promoted to stable one week later automatically if you don't hear any issues with the beta.
Okay. And just for my edification, what's a typical time gap from when the subsystem maintainer accepts it and it gets pushed up or proposed for inclusion in Linus's tree?
It's relatively hard to say, but when it's in the it all depends on the kernel release cadence, right? Is there currently a release ongoing, which it is? 6.1 RC, I don't know, 1 or 2 is out. The merge window is still open, so this can go pretty fast. There is no code freeze, and with the next subsystem update, that patch may even travel into mainline, into Linus's tree.
Okay.
I don't think the patch is intrusive enough to be rejected and would have to wait until the next release. And the good part is there's currently no code freeze, so that's up and coming as soon as 6.1 is stable. But right now, it's still in the release candidate iterations.
Okay. And one other question is, what do you recommend is the best way to watch this? If I'm trying to follow along, but I usually only chasing links after somebody else notices that something happened. So how do you see the action?
It may sound weird, but I mean, as soon as the commit is in, you could just you could check Linus's Git tree whether that commit went into that tree regularly. So basically just update Linux's Linux branch and check there. You could follow the Linux kernel mailing list, though that's pretty much a fire hose because this is a high traffic list. And many patches are flying around there.
Yeah, it seemed like the threads tended to be fairly shallow from what I was reading it for about a week, and just at least for what accumulated then, there was a lot of new topics, not a lot of discussion on each one.
Yeah, it's relatively hard to follow. I personally prefer just looking into Linus's tree, what's coming up for the next 6.1 release, but it might not work for everybody.
Sure. Okay, I'll give it a try. Thank you for explaining.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to mention, or do we call it a day?
All good.
All right. So till next time, have a great day, evening.
Have a good day.
everyone.
Evening.
Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See you again.
Bye.